What's up? Here I have a good news story to bring you today. But before I give you the good news story, I want to tell you about what this occurred from. It occurred from the circus that this country entered into, which was a flu emerged from China, and people all over the world lost their minds, and governments did absolutely horrific things, draconian, evil measures as far as I'm concerned, were implemented upon people. Now, these same governments have no interest in keeping you or anybody else safe when it comes to the likes of violent criminals entering this country, and indeed with our own criminals running around this country. Zero interest. But totally interested in your safety when it came to those things. Also, they wanted to make deals with pharmaceutical companies that have been up to no good and have long histories of criminal behaviour, and wanted to hide the deals for many years. That's not been investigated. That's not been zealously pursued by An Garda Síochána, nor is any sort of alleged corruption that happens within the Dáil or the Seanad. No interest, it seems, there. Very strange, that, isn't it? But yet they had loads of interest over the course of the couple of years that this nonsense was allowed to, and I mean allowed because the general population allowed this nonsense, rather than all looking at it and going, hang on here for a second, on a weekend we can go out and march for Black Lives Matter through the main street of Dublin and Ireland, I would say, because we want to march for a career criminal who got up to no good and found out. But at the same time, we can't go in to a pub, restaurant, cinema, see a loved one, and we're told to stay away from everybody else. Like, that should have been it. That should have been game over, ball burst. But no, this government then took the mickey out of people and said, okay guys, if you have a €9 meal with a pint, and if you're sitting down, the flu definitely knows that you're not there. Like, people think I'm joking. There'll be studies done on this in 100 years and they'll be like, how did people believe this? Not all people, but the general population could have overturned this stuff within a weekend. You know what I mean? If everybody stopped complying and didn't comply, because as a result, Stephen Donnelly, who is now slithered out of politics as it seems, quite convenient, isn't it, that an awful lot of the people that got up to no good over those years and who voted for things that were totally against your rights, civil liberties and freedoms have now exited stage left from politics. Weird, that, isn't it? Anyway, we shall press on. Stephen Kerr was posting here on the Irish Inquiry. This is a great Twitter profile, and indeed both himself and his partner Suzanne have ran in the previous election. I think that's very admirable that these people do the work that they do and also then ran in an election. I think that's very noteworthy. So as he says here, he says, I won my appeal case today in the circuit court. Justice prevailed. I was just over half a kilometre outside the state enforced 2 kilometre limit during lockdown restrictions, and subsequently had to travel 4,928 kilometres in my non-electric vehicle for 11 court appearances in relation to this one minor and spurious charge. Fully agree with you on that one. 2 kilometre limit during lockdown. How about checking the passports of people coming into this country and their histories? Nah, don't worry about that. That's racist to do that. Weird, that one, isn't it? So anyway, see the Gardaí, like, this is the thing where an awful lot of people have no interest in the Gardaí and don't respect them at all, is over situations like this, because look at how zealously they went after this guy, and yet then you see things happening ad nauseum here in this country. You've got hordes of, third worlders coming to this country en masse and getting up to all sorts, and these people have no interest. They've no interest in looking at the people in the Dáil either, They're an absolute fucking joke as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, obviously the Gardaí cared about COVID, but don't give a damn about climate change. That's the next scam to be rolled out anyway, for sure, because the Greens have been moved on, but they're still trying to roll this. They're still trying to tell you that this is totally a thing, even though everybody else knows now that the game is up. Like, these people seemingly don't understand that the internet exists, and that people that are, I would say, now again, some people that would be over the age of 40 be like, here, hang on, people 40 and below don't believe in any of this, and if you do, like, you're a stupid person, because anybody that believes in this stuff and believes what the government say at this stage, like, hand over fist, you're putting your trust in career lawyers, just so you understand that, and the media as well, who also like to do a bit of lying when it suits them. A lot of people would say they'll do nothing but lie, but you know yourself. So, just to clarify, I was led to believe by the court services 13 months ago. Now, this is where it gets sinister for me, and, whilst I think there's a little bit of a laugh, and obviously Stephen's very happy with how this has played out. We have seen many injustices happen in this country towards people who have stood up and have done the right thing. And we have seen justice not be carried when it comes to people that have done the wrong thing. We see people getting suspended sentences, for example, that have done horrific things that in a previous life, and I would say even, 60 years ago, not even 60 years ago, maybe even 30, 40 years ago, people would be gathering together and sorting it out. You know what I mean? Not like this whole thing of like someone was caught with 7,000 images and this person's now walking away scot-free. 30 years ago, I don't think that would have happened. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Just to clarify, I was led to believe by the court services 13 months ago when I was convicted in my absence that I would face a jury trial on appeal, which added extra pressure when facing this case today. That's sinister as far as I'm concerned. Like, you're trying to bully this fella about nonsense restrictions that are totally and utterly have been proven to have been not only unethical, but also didn't work. Like, this is way moved on past what people were talking about at those times. And now I know that there's people that were out there that were doing it from the jump, like Ivor Cummins, for example. And there's various others that have been doing that around the world. But these people were right from the jump. And how come the likes of Stephen Donnelly, for example, isn't being brought before a court and having to ask and answer questions about him not attending a meeting with Professor Carl Hennigan, who told people that the face masks and stuff like that they were not fit for purpose for what they were talking about. And then you see the video that emerges then of Stephen Donnelly in the Shannon when he's talking about the travel, for example, when you were on public transport, that's why they started to bring the masks down, because they were like, compliance. So in a nutshell, to me, there gave up the ghost and was telling you that it was all about compliance all along. So it's very sinister what they've done to this guy, to like kind of level these types of comments at him, is what I would say, because obviously he's going to be living in some sort of state of anxiety and, I would say, tenseness and, as he says here as well, pressure for that amount of time, not knowing what's going to go on. That's completely and totally unbelievable that this is going on in this country. As it turned out, when I arrived in court, there was no jury and the case was heard by a circuit court judge instead. So Philip Dwyer interviewed him there, and I'm delighted to have seen that. But this is why I keep harkening back to these times. People think that, move on, forgive and forget. No. This is what should be happening. The people who are responsible for perpetrating these types of things should be punished. And I mean that from top to bottom. I don't give a fuck if you want to say, I was just following orders. I was just doing my job. I don't give a fuck. Because you should absolutely be punished as much as the person who was giving you the order. What you did was wrong. And like I said before, you see the zealous nature, for example, of people bursting in doors, people in glowy uniforms bursting in doors of masses. No interest when that was happening in a mosque down the Black Pits. No interest in that when that was happening when people were walking down the main street of Dublin because a career criminal messed around and found out in America. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why people have no respect for that profession now. Because they look at that, they look at instances like this and they think to themselves, how could that have happened? Then you see what has happened recently with the Irish Inquiry, which is when they were running for the election, Roderick O'Gorman allegedly had a Gardaí escort with him putting up election posters before when he was supposed to have been. Now again, that is something that was on record and was recorded by the Irish Inquiry. And then the Irish Inquiry put out a video the subsequent day, I think it was the subsequent day, now I'm open to correction on that one, and said, look what we just got in the post. We got a fine for putting up a poster, and the poster was supposedly left up somewhere else and the fine was from then. I don't know about you, but I don't really believe in consequences. What I seem to notice is patterns. And I'm someone that notices the pattern, sees the pattern, and the pattern starts to reapply itself, because what's happening is here now we are playing a game of chess with people that are basically just fucking idiots. And these people don't understand how to move chess pieces without it looking too obvious. They've gotten the cues from behind, but they don't really understand how to do things. And that's in our favour. for example, because we then can look at the pattern very easily. If they were a little bit more slick, it probably would be a little bit more difficult to pick up on, but it's very easy to see. So, good news day for the Irish inquiry. Very well done to them. But as I said, you have to go back and look at what happened, who it happened to, why it happened, how it happened, who did it. You know what I mean? And only until then, until justice is carried out, you're still going to see nonsensical things like this be brought up and have people on the hook for, 13 months is not a joke. Like, that's a year and a month there, just to break that down. Like, people look at months. I'm a bit weird like that. I look at 13 months and you think, it's not that long. You see people that say, 18 months, and you're going, hang on there for a sec. That's over a year of your life that you're looking at this. You know what I mean? A lot of people wouldn't take that. A lot of people, and this is the thing you have to laugh at when the government are talking about mental health. Like, when this was started, no, we're not doing that. 2 kilometers, you want people outside 2 kilometers and 5 kilometers there to not be able to live, here, no. And then you see all the videos and all the audios that came out at the time as well, with Gardaí willingly arguing with people about the logistics of it. And like I said, borders wide open, corrupt politicians, people up to no good, certain offenders walking free, suspended sentences being given out to certain offenders as well. And then you see guys like this being punished like that. Weird, isn't it? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Very well done to Gettr and the Irish inquiry. I do hope he runs in another election again. I do hope he gains a seat. And I do hope that nationalists and patriots do retake this country, because I think, here's the thing, I think this government and I think the politicians, career criminals and career lawyers, I think they're very afraid of people, particularly nationalists, patriots, retaking this country, because you know what's going to happen. You know that the screw's going to be turned. See, the thing is, they pushed people so far a couple of years ago, and people now are looking at it and are like, nah, I'm going to get a bit of mine now. You know what I mean? So, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you like the video, make sure you share it, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate that. We're marching on to 10k. Thanks very much, and I'll talk to you later. Good luck.